Hey everyone, Tony from TN3D Studio. Today I'll be reviewing Light Gen and the new contour settings in Vray 5 for Sketchup. If there is a tool in Vray 5 that is a complete time saver for me, it has to be the new Light Generator. This tool uses both the Vray Sun and Sky system and the HDRIs to automatically generate exterior and interior lighting scenarios. So of course this is going to allow you to bypass the trial and errors of setting up your environment lighting and reduces this once long process to a very few clicks. Before we open Light Generator, you should download the Vray assets from the Chaos Group server, and this is going to include the built-in material library and 35 custom HDRIs. So you will see this message the first time you open Light Generator and anytime you try to access your Vray material library. To open Light Generator, let's click on this new icon in the Vray lighting toolbar, and as you open, you're going to see two main categories. Exterior allows you to use both the Sun and Sky system and the custom HDRIs, and the interior category is limited to the Vray Sun and Sky system. Now for both of these parameters, it's Vray simply asking you how many variations you'd like to see. For the altitude, right here, this is the number of variations from the sun's vertical angle, and the azimuth is the variation from the sun's rotation. So adjust the number of variations that you like to see for both of these options, and the total number of variations to be calculated will always reflect at the bottom here. Now, similar with the HDRI category, the parameters are also very simple. You have the unique style, which can go up to a number 35, equal to the same number of downloaded HDRIs. As for the variation, this is the total number of variations per HDRI, and the seed parameter allows you to choose the random variation of each HDRI. And again, the main focus is the total number of variations, which you get to see at the bottom here. As for the thumbnail previews, you can adjust this to be about 400 pixels, which is good enough for you to see how the lighting is going to look in your scene. So let's adjust these parameters for a total of 12 unique variations, and let's see how our scene is going to look under all of these lighting scenarios. So these are the 12 options calculated by Light Gen, and you can double click on each of these scenarios to apply them to your scene. If you reference the sunlight settings, you can also see where the sun's vertical and horizontal position falls for each of these scenarios. Now it's recommended that you use the Light Gen after you finish with your 3D modeling and before you apply materials and add other Vray lights. And that's because a few things is going to happen when you apply one of these scenarios to your scene. 1. All the Vray lights in your scene are going to be disabled. 2. The sunlight transformation is going to override the Sketchup sun. 3. The auto exposure and the white balance in the camera settings are also disabled. 4. The ISO parameter is readjusted. And 5 is going to add multiple dome lights into your light assets. So you want to be aware of that and be very careful when you decide to use Light Gen to calculate the environment lighting for your scene. And of course, there's always the convenience of saving your Light Gen presets and loading them up whenever you see fit. Overall, you can see how Light Generator can be a huge time saver in helping you generate exterior and interior lighting scenarios. And to compare, I did a video a few months ago on the exterior lighting in Vray Next for Sketchup, and it's great to see how that process can now be sped up using Light Generator in Vray 5. Now the contour controls in Vray 5 is used to add an outline to your renders and able to give you that illustrative and cartoon effect. In Vray Next for SketchUp, you could use this feature by using the Vray Toon Material, but now it's been optimized to affect the entire scene as well as your Vray materials. Now you want to be sure that you are in CPU mode because it's currently the only way it's supported in Vray 5. Now there are several ways you can apply the contours in Vray 5. If you head over to the Vray settings in CPU mode, you can enable the contour settings to affect all of the objects in your scene. Now you want to be sure that you are in CPU mode because it's currently the only way it's supported in Vray 5. Now there are several ways you can apply the contours in Vray 5. If you head over to the Vray settings in CPU mode, you can enable the contour settings to affect all of the objects in your scene. Now all of these settings are extremely simple and straightforward, so let's review a few of the parameters. So you can change the color of the outline. You can adjust the opacity of the outline. Now both normal and overlap threshold will control the inner lines of the objects that have a few face extrusions. So if you pay attention to the edge of the cube, both of the parameters will give you control of when all the lines on these edges are generated. And you can also control the width of the outlines. Now if you want more control over the inner edges, you can enable these controls for the inner lines, so you can change the color and the width separately from the outer edges of your objects. Next, we have some ray trace options that will affect the entire scene, as well as the Vray materials that have contour settings. So you can enable and disable the inner edges of the objects. The visible in secondary allows the outlines to appear in reflections and refractions. So if you look closely to our mirror example, you can see that the outlines of the materials can now be seen in the reflection in the mirror. And last, you can also choose for the contour lines to appear in a render element instead of your final rendering. So there'll be a link in the description to the Chaos Group help file that you can review all of these parameters, so be sure to check the description for additional resources. So let's say we want to add the contour outlines to the Rubik Cube alone. In this case, all we have to do is add the contour settings to the wood material that is linked to the Rubik Cube. And we can do this in two different ways. So let's go to our wood material, and we can add the contour settings from the attributes menu. And once you add, you can see that all the contour settings are now available for this one material. The other way is to use a new Toon Override Material. And this time we're going to add the contour lines to the sphere. So let's create a new Toon Override Material. We will add the sphere red material as the base material. And as you can see, you now have a new material with the same contour parameters that I've shown in the previous example. And all you have to do is apply this new Toon Override Material to the sphere object. If anything, you can see that all the parameters and settings are pretty much the same regardless of which way you want to add the contour lines, so you can get used to them pretty quick once you practice a few times. And if you want to access the ray trace options for these materials, you can just go back to the global contour settings, because the ray trace options apply to the materials as well. And a very quick question, so what do you guys think of Vray 5? Comment down below and let me know which one is your favorite feature, or if you are impressed with what you've seen so far. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and click the bell notification so you don't miss out on future uploads. As always, I'll see you guys on the next video.